Redditors are not a happy bunch. And I don't mean just generally, I mean they're whinging about stuff. Let's see what they're whinging about. So Reddit have always had a free API. What's an API? Application Programming Interface. And so what it is instead of seeing the actual code of Reddit or getting access to the database, Reddit provide API calls which you can use in your own code to get information from Reddit. Now this has been free for ages, but recently they have started to charge for it. Why? Because they're losing like $10 million a year by giving all their information away for free, and places like ChatGPT have been using it to train their models. And this doesn't help when you're considering an IPO by the end of the year. So anyway, I first seen all this stuff kicking off with Apollo. What is Apollo? It's just another way of interacting with Reddit. Instead of using their dodgy, clunky interface, you can use Apollo, which is a third-party app, to access and interact. Now, Apollo has approximately 1.5 million users, whilst Reddit has like 861 million, so quite a tiny user base. But then you could argue,
well, think about it. This must be users who are really into Reddit, so it's really active users.
Maybe, but only 50,000 of these actually pay Apollo to get access. So this obviously doesn't just affect Apollo, it affects all different ones such as like Reddit is fun, but it also just affects anyone who wants to use the Reddit API. And so because of this, Redditors and moderators were protesting. Now, what does a protest look like on the internet? It's not taking your tops off, smashing up shops and stuff. Instead, it's just like turning Reddit dark. So basically what's happening are Reddit communities are having blackouts, which is where they're privating their specific community so that no one can post and no one can access the information, in a hope that it will get Reddit to reconsider their API. Now this did get major coverage, but it didn't seem to get that much of positive feedback with regards to Reddit, because Reddit then started threatening moderators, saying that if they don't do their job, i.e. if they protest instead of actually moderating the site, then they're going to get fired. Although it is a bit weird because Reddit moderators don't actually work for Reddit, they're just volunteers. And to this, some of the moderators started putting stuff as not safe for work instead of private, but Reddit still weren't happy with that either. But see, all of this API stuff in this regard kind of seems like a red herring to me. Because the biggest point that's been pointed out is the use of their data for these conversational AI models such as ChatGPT and Google's Bard. It's also been pointed out that they're kind of following suit with Twitter, because Twitter did a similar thing where their API was free and then they made it chargeable. Now why? Apparently because of the same thing. If you think about it, Reddit and Twitter are the two largest sources of text information that is conversational on the internet. And so how does this affect GPT and Bard? Well, essentially now, instead of just being able to run loads of API calls being like, get this data, get me this data, get me this data for free, they would have to charge per request. And it makes sense to me because, you know, if you were Reddit CEO, why would you want to be giving away your information for free to language models to then build their models and make a profit, and then nothing goes to you? And also as well with these like other things like Apollo and Reddit is fun, they can make money through, you know, making a paywall and also using ads, but then none of that money would go to Reddit, so Reddit was just giving away their information for free. Especially with their IPO coming out later this year, they kind of have to make it chargeable. Although I don't think they had to make it as chargeable as they have. Also, it does make you wonder, couldn't like these language models just web scrape, which is just where you read the HTML of pages instead of API calls? And it is a little bit more difficult, but I don't see it as a hurdle as such. But anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think this is all just a red herring because actually it's the AI that's the issue? Or do you think there's something else going on? Let me know in the comments below and I'll see you next time for what's going on in tech.